Good evening, everyone. This evening, I'll be speaking on social networking and HIV-associated risk behavior among men who have sex with men and people who inject drugs in Abuja Metropolis, Nigeria. Nigeria is a country of 167 million persons. This makes Nigeria the most populous black nation on planet Earth. Half of that population consists of people between the ages of 15 and 39. HIV prevalence among the general population in Nigeria is at 3.4%. This translates to over 2.9 million persons are living with HIV in Nigeria, the third highest burden globally. But it has not been all sad story in Nigeria. From 2005 to 2012, there has been a significant decrease in HIV prevalence. In 2005, the HIV prevalence in Nigeria was at 4.4, and in 2012, it has reduced to 3.4. However, the sad story has been with the MSM community and also people who inject drugs. While HIV prevalence in Nigeria has reduced drastically among the general population, the opposite has become the case of the MSM. And now we begin to ask ourselves, why are the MSMs vulnerable to HIV infections? And if we believe that we can get to the new zero HIV infections, laws and policies criminalizing MSMs, only heaven knows by the time the new survey must have been conducted, what the HIV prevalence rate will be among MSM. Now, if you look at the HIV prevalence among MSM in Abuja Metropolis. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. You find out that HIV prevalence among the MSM is 10 times higher than that of the national prevalence. Few studies have actually targeted MSM in Nigeria. Studies, interventions to reach MSMs are often frowned at. Now, Nigerian youth, just like their counterparts globally, are caught in the age of internet revolution. The population of internet users in Nigeria is perhaps as huge as that of the Oceania region put together. And the LGBT community are not left out in this emerging culture of social networking. It is estimated that 1 in every 4 MSM in Abuja is an active user of social networking sites via their phones and other handheld devices. Now, our study was conducted to deepen our understanding why MSM and people who inject drugs are at increased HIV and other STI vulnerability. To the methods. This study was conducted 17 months ago, December 2012 to be precise. The study made use of well-structured focus group guides and in-depth interview guides. Through social networking and key opinion leaders from the MSM and people who inject drugs community, 48 MSMs were recruited and 48 people who inject drugs. IRB approval was also obtained for this study. The results. First with the MSM community. If you look at the mean age of the study participants, you get to understand that this is a very young adult population we're talking about. Yesterday, when President Clinton was talking about young MSM, it was as if he was talking about Nigerian population. Whenever issues about MSM is in public discourse, the only people you get to see involved are usually the young MSM. And then you ask yourself why the older ones are not there. Is because of societal pressure, because of the alarming rate of homophobia in Nigeria. The younger ones are the ones who always come out. And then if we look at why we should be more concerned is because if you look at the figures from the findings of this study, it tells us that almost all the study participants had more than 10 sexual partners within 12 calendar months, and condom uses were inconsistent. Then what's alarming again is because people are getting married to the female sexual partners just to diffuse the tension they could be gay. And then it's not just because of personal reasons, but they do it because of societal pressure. Just as being lamented by one of the study participants, and I quote, "My father knew I was gay. He has caught me pants down with a man on several occasions, yet he's threatening me with his wealth. He refused me going to the UK to study for masters because he believed that I may marry a man over there in England. He has insisted that I must marry a woman if I must inherit his wealth. He told me that he'd rather see me dead than coming out of my closet." End of quote. MSM in Abuja, to be precise, are beginning to adopt safer spaces other than the physical hotspots for socialization and seeking sexual partners. Almost all the study participants reported having at least meeting one new sexual partner via the social networking sites. And then they are doing that because they are afraid of the physical spaces, the hotspots, the clubs, the bars, and every other places they do socialize before now. But because of the hostile environment they found themselves, they rely on the social networking sites for interaction and then seeking new sexual partners. But what we should be, I'm not particularly worried about MSM using social networking sites for seeking sexual partners. What we should be more concerned is because MSMs, the social networking sites, people they get to meet there are usually hidden MSM. Most of them are oblivious of the fact that HIV could be contacted through unprotected anal sex. Most of them, because the only peer education or HIV intervention they've been exposed, that's the hidden MSM, are usually messages that address heterosexual sex. So the people who inject drugs, just like the MSM, is a very young adult population. There were also females who sold sex. They sold sex in order to obtain money for their drug use. Some of them are professional transactional sex workers as well. Then there were male who sold sex to both male and female sexual partners. But they don't see themselves as gay or bisexual. They don't even identify with MSM, just as been stated by one of the study participants. And he said, "I am not gay. I have some of my boss. When I need money to buy cocaine, I will go to them and we will have sex. And he will find me small money to go and flex. I get some paying female sexual partners." End of quote. And we will never, Population Council, where I work, has been doing intervention for MSM, but it's usually difficult to even capture this set of person. During the study, this person was captured from the PWID. And these people will never, this subset of MSMs will never be part of HIV intervention targeting MSM, but they still engage in sexual intercourse with a male partner. And of course, condom use is usually determined by a person who is paying for the sex. Because there are male sex workers, even the female people who inject drugs, in most cases you get to see that despite all the messages you've given them about HIV transmission, when the person who is going to pay for sex is around, condom negotiation is usually impossible. Then another thing we should be worried about is injecting practice of the people who inject drugs. Most of them, because needle exchange program is not permitted in Nigeria, most of them rely on the trash cans of the healthcare facilities for their needle use. And then these needles are not cleaned. And they share it, they do needle sharing. That is very common among them. The people who inject drugs, just like the MSM, are beginning to adopt social networking sites for sourcing out their psychoactive substance use. And you get to see that not just the end users, but also the dealers. The drug dealers also use the social networking site because of police harassment. The law enforcement agencies are always on their heels. So they rely on the mobile app, instant messages, to inform their clients about what's available, and then where do I deliver the substance to you in order to avoid police harassment. And then they have wider access to drugs that before the social networking sites became rampant in Nigeria, they cannot access the drugs because maybe they don't know where to get the drug. But with the social networking apps, they were able to know where to get a particular drug and at what time, and it's being delivered to them. There were features common to the MSM and people who inject drugs we identified during this study. Some of the MSMs are people who inject drugs, and some of the people who inject drugs are also MSM. And then there were females. There were MSM who, almost half of the study participants reported that I'm going to get married. No matter what people say, I'm going to get married so that all the gossips in the neighborhood should just go away. And then you get to see that there were MSM who also sold, there were people who inject drugs, who sold sex to male or female, and then they don't see themselves as MSM. Then the higher socioeconomic status MSM, because they have the financial power to buy smartphones, are the ones who utilizes the social networking sites. They have the money to buy the phone. They have the money to buy credit cards for their mobile use. And then people who inject drugs, same goes for them. It has to do with class, the social use of social networking apps in Nigeria. In as much that most of these social networking apps are free for people to join, but it has to do with buying airtime and buying credit for the phone for you to utilize, or for you to always be online 24 hours. Yeah. In conclusion, I would like to say that social networking is increasingly becoming connectivity mode for not just MSM, but for key population. Further researches should be conducted for us to deepen our understanding and explore how it can be used for HIV prevention. Thank you.